Hi, and welcome to another video in the Brief History of the Bands series. Today, I'll take you on a trip down memory lane with the Aussie band INXS. For 20 years, INXS was fronted by Michael Hutchence, whose magnetic stage presence made him the focal point of the band. Initially known for their new wave pop style, the band later developed a harder pub rock style that included funk and dance elements. Okay, so who were INXS? INXS was a popular Australian rock band that formed in 1977. The band's original lineup consisted of lead vocalist Michael Hutchence, keyboardist and saxophonist Andrew Farris, drummer John Farris, guitarist Tim Farris, bassist Gary Beers, and percussionist Kirk Pengilly. They originally called themselves the Farris Brothers, for obvious reasons, since there were three of the brothers in the band. The band's origins were from Sydney, on the east coast of Australia and the capital of New South Wales. Sydney is home to just over 5 million people. The parents of the Farris brothers, however, relocated to Perth, Western Australia in 1978. At a chance meeting in the car park of a pub on the northern beaches of Sydney, Tim Farris was approached by Gary Morris, the manager of Midnight Oil. The band began to regularly support Midnight Oil and other local bands. Morris advised that a member of the Oil's crew had come up with a new name and suggested they change it to INXS, and the name as we know it today was born. Over the course of their career, INXS released 13 studio albums and achieved worldwide success with hits such as Need You Tonight, Suicide Blonde, and Never Tear Us Apart. INXS's early years were marked by a series of lineup changes and a focus on touring and performing live. The band released their debut album, INXS, in 1980, which features a mix of new wave and pub rock influences. Despite limited commercial success, the album helped to establish INXS as a popular live act in Australia. In 1981, the band released their second album, Underneath the Colours, which featured a more polished sound and spawned the hit single The One Thing. The album was a breakthrough success in Australia and helped to establish INXS as one of the leading bands in the Australian music scene. The band's third album, Shabu Shuba, was released in 1982 and featured the hit single Don't Change. The album marked a departure from the band's earlier new wave sound and showcased a more pop-oriented direction. INXS's fourth album, The Swing, was released in 1984 and became the band's international breakthrough. The album featured the hit single Original Sin, which became a top 40 hit in the United States and helped to establish INXS as a major player in the global music scene. Over the next few years, INXS released a series of successful albums, including Listen Like Thieves in 1985, Kick in 1987, and X in 1990. These albums spawned a number of hit singles, including What You Need You Tonight, and Suicide Blonde, and helped to solidify the band's status as one of the most popular and successful rock bands in the world. In the late 1980s and early 90s, INXS became known for their high-energy live performances and the charismatic stage presence of lead vocalist Michael Hutchence. Hutchence was widely regarded as one of the most captivating and enigmatic frontmen in rock music. His physical and sexual attractiveness made him a popular figure with both male and female fans. The story of INXS would be incomplete if we don't delve a little bit deeper into the story of Michael Hutchence. Michael Kelland John Hutchence was born in Sydney on January the 22nd, 1960, to businessman Hutchence and makeup artist Patricia Glassop. Kel's business took him to Hong Kong, where Michael and his younger brother Rhett attended Beacon Hill School in Kowloon Tong. He showed promise as a swimmer, but that stopped after he broke his arm. He performed his first song in a local toy store commercial. The family returned to Sydney in 1972, and 12-year-old Michael went to Davidson High School. He was being bullied in the schoolyard one day when a kid called Andrew Farris intervened. They became best friends, and Andrew invited him to join his band Dr. Dolphin. Michael's parents divorced when he was 15. For a time, he lived with his mother and half-sister Tina in California and attended Hollywood High with many future film stars. He then returned to Sydney with his mother, and the journey to superstardom began. In 1997, tragedy struck when Hutchence was found dead in his hotel room in Sydney. The official cause of death was ruled a suicide, although there have been much speculation and controversy surrounding the circumstances of his death. Hutchence's passing was a devastating blow to the band and their fans, and INXS, as it was known then, decided to disband shortly thereafter. In the years following Hutchence's death, the remaining members of INXS have continued to work on various projects, including solo albums and collaborations with other artists. The band's music continues to be popular and has influenced a number of newer artists, solidifying their place in the pantheon of rock music history. INXS was a popular and influential Australian rock band that achieved worldwide success in the 80s and 90s with a series of hit albums and singles. Lead vocalist Michael Hutchence was a charismatic and enigmatic presence whose untimely death in 1997 marked the end of the band's career. Despite their disbandment, INXS's music continues to be popular. INXS have sold over 75 million records worldwide, and they were introduced into the ARIA Hall of Fame in 2001. I hope you enjoyed that brief history of the band INXS, and thank you for watching. I appreciate it as always. If you like the content, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you have any bands from the 80s and 90s you would like me to cover, please leave a comment below and I will try to get to them. I've included a link to 2 of my other videos, the first being a brief history of Depeche Mode, and the second a link to one of my 80s mixes. Enjoy, and as always, play it loud.